Dogoromora, Utube, Utube, Ralom, Ranasango, Dofurasora, Mwezi, Doturunura, Como, Dogoromora, Turuzi, Utube, Ralom, Sango, Hey, hey. This is the year I live fearless. Okay, I'm just looking to do something really fearless right now. Something society would frown upon, because this is the year I'm going to live fearless. I've been in too many fear-filled years, and I decided, oh the fuck, I am going to liberate myself. Once upon a time, there was this extremely handsome man. He came from the Eastern Cape of South Africa. He made his way to Rhodesia at the time, which is now Zimbabwe. And he met this beautiful girl. Beautiful girl. They flirted. They were feeling each other. Into each other. They tussled between the sheets, you know. They talked. He told her his dreams, his hopes. She told him hers. She just wanted love, she said. I want to be loved. I haven't been loved because I'm so beautiful. I just want love. And he promised it to her. I will give you all the love in the world and then some. He serenaded her in Xhosa. She giggled in Shona. And, you know, it was sweet. It was beautiful. It was heavenly. A baby was made in that heaven right there. And reality hits the ground for both of them. This love that they had for each other was not going to survive. It was a fantasy, a break from their day-to-day, a break from their ordinary lives. You know, they were meeting when they could and how they could, because they were both married, you see. These two people were not single. They were married. Okay. So they were meeting clandestinely. The excitement of seeing each other after a while. The rush of taking off the clothes. The climax. The ecstasy. But when a baby was made, they realized none of it was real. She went her way with the baby. He went his way. She went right back to her husband whom she had left. And he said, I will adopt this child, raise it as my own, and we shall never talk about it again. And he was true to his word. I am a very lucky girl. I literally have 2 paternal grandfathers. I have the one I call grandfather actual, the one I know, the one I love, the one who was the chief of the Zezuru, of the Eastern Cape of Zimbabwe. The one who gave me his name and even named me. The one who called me the most beautiful girl in the world. Then I have a Xhosa grandfather, the one whose son made my dad. The one whose son made my dad walks with me. Okay? He's the one who walks with me and he fights my battles and he stands by me. And so I'm terribly lucky I have two. This year I'm going to grandfather actual, and I am paying homage to him because the last time I went to grandfather Xhosa, the great Xhosa, and I paid homage to him. Welcome to the board of the Xhosa. Once upon a time, they were in love. And I am the product of that love generations later. This is their board, and I'm opening it on their behalf. And today, we are doing DMX. Okay? DMX. And full disclosure, I'd already done a video, like the first 10 minutes, I'd already called DMX. And then guess what, people? The SIM card was not working. Yes, I'm having technical difficulties. That's what happens when you do these kind of readings, these seances with the departed. Sometimes you get technical glitches because they really don't want shit to get out there, or they do, it is what it is. It is what it is. So I'm going to give you a recap, and then I'm going to continue the conversation with DMX, who is standing behind my camera. Okay. So DMX walked into the room of the Xhosa as a wind, a dark wind. Okay. From all four corners. He came like a tornado and he ruined my camera. But we will not hold that against him. He ruined the SIM card, but we will not hold that against him. This tells us that when he was alive, you must have been a very distracted little boy, but we're not talking about that right now. We are recapping. So he came from the northeast and the southwest. The northeast and the southwest, and the northeast and the northwest. It came from all corners, all four corners. One wind came from the northeast, one came that way, one came that, and then he coagulated into a tornado, a real tornado. Then he effed up my stuff. But it doesn't matter. It coagulated as a real tornado, and then the tornado, then after whirling around my camera and around me, it then went to whirl behind the camera, which is where it is. And then his head was thrown from the northwest. So he is standing here, the head only, and he is a tornado. I think the head only because I did request talking. I did request a talk, so they had to throw that head in. And this is what he was saying to me when all hell broke loose and then I had to stop. He said he was not claimed by anyone. He wasn't claimed by any religion, and there were no ancestors to come and pick him up. There was nobody. He said at first he was just standing there in this black wet tar. It was cold and it was wet and it was sticky. Now we know that he was standing in the belly, but he didn't know about the belly, right? So he said he was there just standing there. Nothing came to talk to him. Nothing came to say anything. So after a while of just standing there in a daze, he says he thought he was on a high. He didn't know that he was dead. He thought that he was on a high. He didn't know he was gone. So he said he was just standing there thinking, this is the worst kind of high ever. He then said, Jesus! And suddenly he was out of the dark, wet tar of the belly. So, hey, if you die, and you find yourself in a dark, wet tower, just call Jesus, okay? So he then found himself like on a path that had dry grass. It sounded like Africa to me. Sounded like the metaphysical side of Africa, or he could have been in Africa for sure. We don't know. But he found himself walking along that path, and he was just walking along. And again, he was by himself. He didn't have anyone with him. And then this time though, he was just shoved. Like he heard a voice. He said he heard a voice. You don't belong here. And then he was shoved. So then the camera died while he was explaining this surreal place to me that my ancestors and I were trying to work out. He said he went to this place that was so technologically advanced. The cars were floating above the cars, the trains, and he shared the visions of the pictures, and that's where we're at. The cars and the planes are floating above the people, right? And they are moving really fast, really, you know what, like when you fast forward a movie, right? Yes. And then underneath are people who are faceless, and they are moving just as fast. It's like, again, fast forwarding. And he said he was getting dizzy. He didn't get it. He didn't understand it. It's dark. That's the image he was showing us, and he was talking about that when my camera said deuces. Okay. Yeah. So, he said, so this is where I'm just going to recap what he said, then I'm going to ask him to continue, right? So he said, it was dark, it was all black, and the pavement was cold. He is complaining about how cold the pavement was to the feet, right? But these people were just whooshing past him, at the speed of light, and they had no faces. Now we know that those are demons. I don't think DMX knows that, but he was in demonic territory. He was with the demons. And so now I'm going to ask him then what happened next, because he just wasn't there. Oh, he said it reminded him of Detroit. Yeah, only more modern. But it reminded him of Detroit. Yeah? He said the energy, the feel of it was like Detroit. Detroit, I ain't coming to visit your asses. If I have to drive through Detroit, I'm not spending the night. Okay. FYI. Anyway, now we are at where else he was then thrown to. Okay. How did you get out of Detroit like? Yeah. He said, I already told you. Yes, he did. So I got very excited. People, because he showed me a girl with butterfly wings, a white girl with butterfly wings. Okay. She kind of looks like a fairy, but she's not kind of like a fairy. And she had a wand, though. And she said to him, you're not supposed to be here. So she pinged him, right? So I got excited because I've often seen people, usually females, with butterfly wings. And I didn't understand what the butterfly wings were for. I knew they had a duty in the metaphysical, that they were something because they have butterfly wings, but I didn't know what they were. So they seem to be like cops. So far, they seem to be like cops who move from realm to realm, looking for the lost and putting them where they are supposed to be. So far, I'm not sure. So if I've ever given you a reading and I've said you've got butterfly wings, girl, I think we found your profession. I think we found it, because I've always said, I don't know why people have butterfly wings. I think we found it. Okay, so now what happened when she pinged you? Then it was back again on what looked like an earth, but it is desert. It's like a desert. There is like desert, like the Sahara Desert. He's asking me if I've been to the Sahara Desert. I'm like, no, I have no plans of visiting the Sahara Desert anytime soon. He says, I see. He says, well, he was walking again by himself. There was nothing anywhere. He said, that's when I started feeling the despair. That's when I started feeling that this wasn't a trip. Look, I'll let him say it in his own words as much as I can translate his lingo, because I really can't translate his lingo. So I will translate it in my direction. So he's saying, because it's much better that way. There was no one in sight. I was walking, and then I said to myself, wait a minute, if this is a trip, it's been going on for too long. I mean, seriously, this would be the ultimate trip, and I'm not enjoying it. That's when I began to realize that something was wrong. That I may not wake up. I didn't accept it before, but I began to feel like I'm sleeping or I'm unconscious, and I won't be able to wake up if I don't do something about it. So I kind of went crazy, man. I screamed, and I tried to use my voice, and I tried to use my force, and I tried to use my power to wake up. And I was slapping myself like, wake up, dude, wake up, dude. The loneliness, it's so crushing. Loneliness is bad, man. Loneliness is a killer. Loneliness. So, I started making noises. I started wishing I had a gun and I could shoot it, anything at all to get myself out of that trip. And I promised God that I would never do drugs again, because this was the longest trip ever. I would never do drugs again. And I wanted to talk to people. I wanted to tell them, I had the weirdest journey ever. Anyway, I promised that I would never use drugs again, and I would never do any of that shit again, because this trip was just too long. And eventually, I realized that this may be it. Because no matter what I was trying to do to get attention, it wasn't working. But just before maybe I realized I was gone, again, butterfly wings, as you're calling them now, popped up again. This time she was a black girl, and she said, you're not supposed to be here. And ping again. Man, I hate those girls. I hate them. I hate them. Because in a way, I was kind of used to my environment. In a way, I was kind of used to my environment. I was used to it. I hate them. I hate those damn girls. I hate them. Because now I found myself somewhere else. Where did you find yourself? In water. I wanted to say that is the white metaphysicality. He ended up in the white metaphysicality. But then my ancestors, and I've said it, my ancestors said, let him continue to talk. It was cold, man. And black. And they were writhing bodies all over me, and everybody was trying to climb out of the water. But you know that water, you can't climb out of it. You can't climb out of that water. Don't even fool yourself. If you find yourself there, better pray for one of those butterfly wings, because there is no way you get out of that water. That water, the waves are funky. They are funky. It's like they go this way, and then they come this way, and then they come this way, and then they come this way, and then they beat you up right there in the center. Then they sandwich you. Then they knock you against each other. And you'll be so cold. So cold. So cold. So you're like scrambling. You're looking for land. You're looking for something dry. You're all doing it. You're all doing it. You're all looking for land. But there's nothing. It's just, there's a blue on top. This dark blue. Then there's this black water with the waves, and you're all in it. And every time the wave goes whoosh, you all knock against each other. Oh, man. Damn. I'm asking him, so what happened? He's caught up in there. Well, a butterfly girl turned up after what looked or felt like eternity. She turned up. She floated above me with a stupid stick. And she said, "You're not supposed to be here." Oh, he's laughing, so I'm laughing. The relief, man. The relief. That's the only time I've ever liked those butterfly girls, okay? She came and she said, "You're not supposed to be here." And then she pointed at me. Do you know the desperation? We were so effing desperate that we all wanted to be pinged. So they were all fighting for my ping. So they pushed me down to the depths of the water. They literally pushed me down, and there is no depth. The water keeps going, and it keeps getting blacker and colder and blacker, and they were pushing me down. But that butterfly girl had no time for that. She was white. She had no time for that. She dived in, came right at me, and on my forehead, she pinged. And that is where I will stop for now. Okay, because this thing is about to tell me 30 minutes are up, and I will continue the DMX onto the next video, which will most certainly go onto Patreon. Before I leave, and with the few seconds that I have, I want to wish you all a really good week. I, as usual and as always, am going through it. It's hard to breathe right now, but that's okay. This time, there is a difference. This time, I am understanding and realizing that severe changes have to be made in the way I run my life. I have to make drastic decisions and drastic choices. And I just have to sacrifice myself in the physical. I have to sacrifice myself, and I have to sacrifice everything in order for my life to turn around. So this time I'm feeling like I'm at the wheel. And I hope you do too. I hope on this journey that we are on, walking through hell, I hope you come to a moment where you say, okay, that's enough. I have been this person for too long. Now I'm going to try to be that person. And so, I'm going to record it all for posterity, and I'm going to put it on my OnlyFans, just as I'm going to share my time spent in my home country. I really have no idea how long I'm going for, okay? And I'm going to leave it like that. I'm going to fly by the seat of my pants, And be kind to yourselves, people. Be forgiving to yourself. Be loving to you. Put yourself first. Cut those who don't love you out of your life, no matter how hard it is to do. Breathe in. Breathe out. Count the days and just do the best that you can. For my patrons, see you on Patreon. For YouTube, I sincerely hope to see you next week. Kisses.